Hi out there. It's 5amMesterScrum. It is 5:20 Sunday morning, 7:28, and the face I have is because my hair is a mess. It's 5 a.m. in a hotel room. When you wake up, you roll out, and you do it. It's like I need a haircut, and it's rough getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, especially in a hotel. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Hope all is well. It's Sunday. Good morning, and it's 5:20 a.m. and life is good. Down in DC for a second day. It was a 3-day class I was taking the other day. I hope you're telling all your friends to like and subscribe to the channel and sharing it. I try to post it on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Mester, Mester, Greg, Agile Coach. Is this you, Agile Cheerleader? I'm like, yeah, it's me, Agile Cheerleader. So I'm down in DC taking a class with icagile. It's their Agile coaching class, their ACC, I believe. I've taken it before with another instructor, and I'm taking it again now. And I'm hoping to, like I said, make relationships and bring the class to Philadelphia later this year. So you all don't have to come all the way out here to DC or other cities to take the class. And I want being taught by people who live from local in the area and things like that. So I just want to take a second to talk about taking these classes. And, like here's a book, like the Coaching Agile Teams, one of the really good books by Lisa Atkins, which I read a few times. And this class I'm taking, like I said, I've taken it before. I think of it as like a little mini training camp. Football players go and basketball players and basically spring training and all, but we're professional Scrum masters, Agile people, coaches, whatever you have. And if you ever think that you know more and don't need to go to class, then you're probably wrong. Professionals go to class. They go to class from different instructors when they have opportunities. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, if I ever get someone gives me discounts and stuff, I ask them if I can share them to my connections. They just don't realize how many connections I have. And if you're in the area, I will definitely send those discounts to you. So don't hesitate to connect, and also like and subscribe to this show, and let's see how it goes. One of the topics we had, we went through a series of exercises, right? Everything from coaching one-on-one, and it was fun. It was because I was coaching in one of the class. I took more of a one-on-one coaching thing, and I was kind of asked a leading question like, would you bring that to the retro? And she made a good comment back. Like, oh, that was kind of pushy. I was like, you're right. It really wasn't a coaching question. It wasn't a power question. So it was funny how you go to these things that just remind you, but then I try to make it into a learning experience. It's like, well, what would you say? How would you come up and bring that up? So it works learning what was wrong, because I used the wrong words, and we always make we make mistakes all the time. But then how can I make it into a learning experience in the class? So that was awesome. So I enjoyed that. And, just when things break, bringing them up to the retros. A lot of people don't bring things to the retros, and they forget about the ceremonies, right, that we have in place in Scrum and Agile and using that. But people think retro is my favorite one, and I don't know why we don't use it, because I think in a previous episode I talked about making a little 2.2% change. I had the clock, right, and I said you go up, but it was just one of those things that came up, and it was just fun going through that process and honing the skills, because they focus on topics, right? So I really recommend anybody taking who's a Scrum Master or someone who's in Agile or working with people in general, facilitating stuff. But take some of the IC Agile courses. They're a great follow-up to if you feel as a Scrum Master, you trained everybody what to do, you don't know what more to do. I recommend the IC Agile classes. What's the next level? After they're all trained up, I can't teach them definition done anymore. Or they don't need to know how to do daily scrum. They do that fine. I really don't add more to the daily scrum. Why do you do it? The next thing is coaching. How do you coach them as a team if you're a scrum master? Not that you have to become a coach, but how do I coach my people to do better? It's just something to think about in your progression. As a professional, right? This is like a profession too, as much as it's a job. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this at 5 a.m. Mester Scrum, right? I'm doing this at 5 a.m. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I'm going to keep this brief again. I'm in a hotel in D.C. It was kind of interesting. I have to look it up. Lady said that they don't do the continental breakfast at the courtyards anymore. So I have to look it up. I'm like, I remember courtyards always had a little breakfast thing where you go eat. That's why we always stayed at the courtyard, to be honest with you. But maybe not. Maybe they changed. Sad. Been doing this for 30 years traveling. Used to love courtyards. But anyway, so 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Again, hope you're subscribing and telling your friends about it. So we talked about taking the class. Talked about this book. Like, I highly recommend this book. And every once in a while, I'll go through a book and I'll post it on the site and areas where you can read it that I've read or done anything. Sometimes I just like having a book in my hands. It's nice. Taking that along. Okay. So one short little scrum thing, and then we'll head out because we usually like one or two, right? Sometimes I do three, and what's going on out there. And just want to talk about retrospective a little bit. One of the exercises that we did is we did an exercise where people took on roles, and then we took on what's the biggest block of the roles. And what I like to recommend for a retro is, why don't you take your teams, if you're stuck or to have issues, and have them go through the process of switching roles for a while. If they're, unless they're really good teams are working all the time, then you don't need any of this stuff. But most of my life, I got teams that have trouble sometimes working together and what they do, and you want them to be that T shape, right? And they learn a little bit about everybody else's role and what's going on. Maybe have like the developers and the testers take a role and write up on a board the issues they hear and put a wall between the board if you had the retro, and say, what are the testers, if they were in the developer shoes, what are their big hurdles they get, right? And on the wall, put, if you were a developer, what are your biggest complaints? And make it like a self-reflection also. If I was a tester, what would I complain about? If I was a developer, what would I complain about? But the roles switch, right? So the testers become the developer, and they say, hey, as a developer, what am I complaining about my testers and everybody else? And Scrum Master, don't forget to complain about the Scrum Master or the Agile coach. That's another thing that you can do in that instance. It's just a way of making them think of, okay, we have these issues. Is there anything in here we can do better and improve in this retrospective in the next sprint, next couple sprints? But it gives them a visual of what they did. So that's one. And the other one, we just want to talk about idea of the day as an Agile coach. To the team, when they were doing their planning, sprint planning, I actually provided them an idea. I said, look, in the next retrospective, I'm going to give you something. Here's a task for you as a team. Come up with one idea. Everybody in the room can think of one thing in the team that you want me as the Agile coach to take on in your next sprint. So I have to remind them, I have to remember on Monday to say, hey, I gave you a challenge, or you challenge, a kind of quasi-root challenge back to me. I don't know why I did it. It was kind of crazy. At the time, I just wanted them to spark ideas for fixing things, right? I just want them to get better. They have some issues. So I said, hey, next retrospective, think of things that you want Greg Mester to fix for you as an Agile coach. And then I will take on 2 weeks and see what I can fix in the system and take that as a challenge. So it got them all stirred up about, they were like, really? You want us to come up with something for you to do? And I said, yes, give me something. So it's just one of those things that it's a way of getting you as an agile coach involved with the team, but say, hey, find something, I'll put it on my backlog and I will see what I can do to fix it. So try that with your team, maybe if you're daring enough to give you a task to do, rather than us agile coaches know everything. It's like, okay, what do you need? Anyway, so I'm going to close it up. It's like the 10:36 mark. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Please subscribe and share with your friends. I don't know if I can spell subscribe. I'm typing it here. Subscribe, right? It's early. There you go. Please subscribe and share. Dude. Anyway, we're doing good. Getting more subscribers every day. And I hope it keeps growing, and we'll see how we go. All right. Thanks. Have a good weekend. Enjoy it. Happy scrumming. And Monday, maybe if I get some people on here Monday morning, what fun thing did you do? And what's your next fun thing? We'll do that on Monday as an exercise. And again, take care. 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. And good being here. Take care.